Hi there. My name is Molly once again, and we're here today to talk about vegetarian basics. And again, these are in collaboration with Food for Lane County. We usually have cooking classes running through spring term, but this term is remote, so we'll share some information online. Okay, so just an outline of what we're going to be talking about today. Different types of vegetarians. So, vegetarian is kind of a blanket term for anybody that eats plant-based foods or tries to stay away from animal products. And then we'll go specifically into different nutritional needs for vegetarians, and we'll give you some options for plant-based sources of those vital nutrients. So, in terms of vegetarian types, there are quite a few. So, the first one we'll go over is called a flexitarian. So, this is a person that may eat meat or non plant based proteins on occasion, but for the most part, stick to a vegetarian diet. And the vegetarian diets can be any of the ones listed below, but a flexitarian may eat meat sometimes. Lacto-ovo vegetarian. These are people that eat dairy products and milk, but otherwise follows a plant-based diet. So they'll have cheese or milk, but they won't have like a hamburger. A lacto-vegetarian is someone who only eats dairy products, but otherwise follows plant-based diet, so they don't eat eggs. So the difference is that lacto-ovo eats eggs, but lacto-vegetarian does not. And then a pescatarian eats a plant-based diet, but they also allow fish into their diet. Vegan people don't eat any animal-based foods. Strict vegans stay away from also like honey and food derived from different animal products. So they won't have milk or eggs or fish, and they'll try to stay away from any food derived from animal products. So there's a variety of reasons to become a vegetarian. It may be for health, it may be for social justice reasons, it may be for the environment. Any of these vegetarians might fit into these brackets. So one of the things that vegetarians often lack if they don't eat the right foods is calcium. So calcium is really important in our bodies to strengthen our bones, and dairy is often fortified with calcium, potassium, riboflavin, and vitamin D. So vitamin D is also one thing that a lot of us Oregonians kind of lack due to lack of sun, but it's really important to have those in your food. So although if you are a lacto-ovo vegetarian or a lacto-vegetarian, cow's milk actually provides your calcium requirement, but vegetarians that don't have those, don't eat those things or ingest those things, have a lot of other options to ingest calcium in different ways. So some calcium-rich alternatives are tofu. So soy, it has to be fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Seeds have natural calcium, broccoli, kale, yogurts, obviously for people that eat dairy. Beans and lentils have a lot of calcium, and nuts like almonds, pictured in the image to your right. We typically like to get our nutrients mostly from food. So maybe some vegetarians might take a calcium supplement. Supplements are great, but they're not naturally occurring and they're not as easily absorbed as those that are in foods. So we try to, it's also more accessible to eat variety. Iron. So iron is also a vital nutrient for your body, and it can be very low in some vegetarians because we find iron in a lot of red meat. So iron is most easily absorbed through animal-based foods. However, pairing it with plant forms and vitamin C actually can yield a similar effect and can up that absorption. So it can also be a concern for women, especially. And that just has to do with menstrual cycles and all sorts of things that have to do with the female sex. So for vegetarians to increase your absorption of iron, you have to pair it with something that's high in vitamin C. So we like to say when in doubt, pair it with something tart or yeah, tart. So anything acidic. So iron-rich alternatives includes beans, lentils, tofu, spinach, broccoli, quinoa, whole wheat bread. There's so many other options you can have to find an iron-rich food. You just have to Google it or look on the packaging. Foods that are high in vitamin C, kale, kiwi, cauliflower, bell peppers, tomatoes, really anything acidic that's a fruit or vegetable. So a nice iron-rich meal might be a stir fry with tofu and kale and bell peppers and that sort of thing. And that's a really great way to get those nutrients in your body, especially when you're not eating red meat. The last one we're going to go through is vitamin B12. So this one's kind of tricky because it only comes from animals and it only comes from animal-based sources. So supplementation may be necessary if you're a very strict vegetarian. If you're a flexitarian and you do eat meat at some times, this may not be necessary. But vitamin B12 is really important for your body's nervous system and blood cells. It also helps make DNA. Which is the genetic material in your cells. So it's really vitally important that you are ingesting some sort of B12 in your diet. So if you eat dairy, B12 is probably not a problem, but if you're vegan, it's something you probably need to supplement. So you may not see like a huge difference like you might in anemia for iron. Those are a little bit more easy to spot if you have a deficiency, but vitamin B12 takes years to show up in terms of deficiency. But it can be really detrimental to your health. So we typically don't usually go to supplements first when we're looking at different vitamin needs for your body. But in this case, if you are strictly vegan, a supplement may be necessary. So also this vitamin is water soluble, so which means that if your body gets too much of the vitamin B12, it will just be excreted through your system. And so it's really, really difficult to overdose on this vitamin. So this is a pretty safe vitamin or supplement to take. But anyway, thank you all for joining me again. I hope you all stay safe and have a great meal tonight. Okay, bye.